Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Welcome, Bruce.
Hello, David.
How are you today, man?
I'm doing all right. Had my pre-podcast shower. I decided it was such an irredeemably bad hair day. It's the kind of thing you don't have to worry about, but it happens to me from time to time. I thought, no, I can't do this without cleaning up a little bit at least.
Yeah,
Still got a long ways to go, I know. But...
And when you don't have hair on your head, you have to kind of remind yourself to have that shower because it's like it's not staring you in the face every 5 seconds. The greasy head of hair. All right. The Sam Gagner Keep, Hold, or Fold podcast, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Good thing about Sam Gagner. What do you like about the player, Bruce?
Not
that much, eh?
Yeah. I mean, I like that he's better than Ryan Spooner. I think the Oilers got better after Keith Gretzky made that kind of saving grace trade before the deadline after the change in management, because the Spooner for Ryan Strome trade earlier in the year had been such a disaster that Spooner was done here. In fact, he was in the minors and Sam was in the minors in Vancouver. So it was a trade really that made sense from both sides. But I think Sam was a noticeable step up. And the stats certainly support that. I think they each played 25 games and Spooner had like 3 points and Gagner had 10.
All right. What I like, Bruce, this is going to shock you. I like Sam Gagner's defensive play.
Whoa.
Man, the amount that I railed on about what a crappy defensive player he was in his first day at Edmonton, especially as time went on and he didn't improve, because he was the poster boy. Sam Gagner was the poster boy, and I once his agent got mad at me. Jeff Jackson got mad at me on Twitter for saying this.
Yeah.
He was the poster boy for weak defensive play, for being on the wrong side of the puck in the defensive zone, cheating for offense. If there was a scrum on the boards, let's say there was a scrum on the half wall on the boards, beside the face-off,
5 feet on the offensive side of it, waiting for the puck
he'd
to
be
spring
fishing,
free.
try to fish for the puck on the offensive side of it, rather than as the center on the right spot between the puck and the net, right between his player and the net. He was always fishing for the puck. He wasn't great on the back check. He was misreading plays, like not covering the right guy. He wasn't strong in the corner. So when he came back, that's the Sam Gagner I remember, but it's not the Sam Gagner that I saw when he came back. I saw a player who had figured it out defensively. Now, part of it, I think, was moving to the wing. I think center was too much to ask of, at least Sam Gagner, the 22, 23-year-old Sam Gagner. It was way too much to ask. Playing center is not easy. It takes complex defensive reads. You have to make them fast. You have to figure out who you're going to cover. You have to be constantly on a swivel, looking around who to cover.
That was his issue to me, was his awareness. He just got so locked in on the puck defensively. I don't know how many times I wrote about puck watching by Gagner. And I remember writing an entire post about it once of basically screen grabs of Gagner getting caught out of position, someone getting in behind him for an easy goal, and like a number of them, like 4 or 5 in one post. And it was a persistent issue.
So, as listeners and readers of the Cult of Hockey know, we track who makes the major mistakes on grade A scoring chances against. And Sam Gagner we don't have a huge sample size, just 317 even strength minutes.
Right.
That's not that small. It's a fairly good chunk. You
5 hours. Yeah, it's enough. Like normally I set my minimum for the whole season at 300 minutes just to get rid of the guys at the very bottom end who didn't play a lot.
I'll go as low as 200. Like I think 200 minutes is, you start to get into a reasonable sample size around 200 minutes, which is So anyway, he had the least major mistakes on grade A scoring chances against of any Oilers winger, Bruce, who played more than 300 minutes, more than 200 minutes. And it's more than 300 minutes. And that's not bad. And he's not, a whole lot less than other guys. Excuse me, Toby Reeder was just a little bit lower. And Toby Reeder is a defensively responsible hockey player, but Sam Gagner was in the exact same ballpark. And I just noticed he was on the right side of the puck almost every play and taking his man. And I think that just went such a long way in terms of him as a hockey player, being a useful NHL hockey player. I don't know when that happened in his game, but if he
After he
does
left
that,
Edmonton.
Bruce, he can play in the NHL for a few more years because he does have some offensive skill. He's a smart offensive hockey player. And if he can be really good defensively, which he has to be really good defensively, not just good, then he can hang in there. And that's what I saw. I saw a good to really good defensive hockey player in Sam Gagner. And good for you, Sam Gagner. Way to go, man. You figured it out. Okay,
Yeah, well, obviously his time in other NHL cities under other coaches, playing the position of wing, which was, that was the thing. I mean, remember we had Cogs and Gags, and they both were these hotshot centers, and they both couldn't win a face-off. They both had their defensive issues, and they both were a little bit reluctant to be reassigned to a winger while in Edmonton, and they sent along Cogliano to get a second opinion, basically gave him away. And he wound up being a pretty tenacious, good penalty-killing, grinding winger in Anaheim. And I'm not sure I quite put Gagner in that boat, but he's, I think, more effective at the wing, and his defensive zone play was very much more winger-oriented.
Yeah, he should have probably always been a winger. Maybe. Anyway, maybe I think it wasn't just his time in NHL cities that persuaded him to play.
Well, yeah,
it was his time in AHL cities. I think that might have been a turning point.
That'll wake a guy up when he's been in the NHL since he was 18. And all of a
it's
sudden
hard.
He's 29 and in the AHL, huh?
Yeah, that would, because he has the potential to get another contract after this if he can play well. So that's he's looking at $10 or $15 million maybe in future earnings if he can just get it in his head to do this correctly. It's a lot of incentive.
Yeah.
Although he's made probably 30 million. I'm guessing 30 million. Just guessing.
Better part of. I mean, the Oilers signed him to 3 times 4.8 was the big deal that he signed here that the Oilers traded away as a cap dump, semi-cap dump.
He's made 30 million, Bruce,
for Teddy Purcell. So that sounds reasonable. I'm not sure there's 15 million in his future, but you never know with a decent season. I mean, Jordan Everly today signed a 5-year extension for $5.5 million. So it's
good
possible. If you get hot at the right time, like Everly did, then who knows, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, what matters to us right now is he's one more year, $3.15 million. What percentage of that can he cover?
And I think there's a chance he'll be a decent player next year, a decent third line player. So what is your bad thing about Sam Gagner?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go for it. No,
come on, he's slow. So the Oilers need speed on the wings. They need to get faster, and he's not faster. He's slower. He's a below average skater for an NHL winger, and he makes up for it with some really good passing and really good shooting. And I think he's fairly gritty in the offensive zone. I think he's a fairly gritty player. He's become one. There's lots to like about his.
He's had a little bit of grit in his game,
but the Oilers need speed, Bruce.
Yeah,
he's not that. Yeah. So that's my bad thing. What's yours?
Yeah, well, when you talk about his speed, what I've always noticed about this player is the way he skates. Like when he gets the puck and he goes through the neutral zone, he skates like he's skiing a slalom, and he curves this way and he curves that way.
I hate that.
And he never busts straight ahead and drives hard. And I mean, if you're skiing slalom and the other guys around you are in the downhill, guess what? They're going to get there first.
It's the number one thing, Bruce, I teach as a minor hockey coach right now. I've been coaching minor hockey now for 10 years. And the thing that I've come to believe more than anything else, the number one skill to teach players is to push the puck one-handed on their stick forward. You see McDavid do it a few times a game, 4 or 5, maybe even 4. One-handed forward as fast as they can go in a straight line. Because that gives you the speed that you need on the attack to, when you get to the blue line and have to make a move, you're going fast enough to get around the person, or you can dump it in and you're around them. Too many players of this weaving back and forth, and you see it at the NHL level. It's a habit. Sam Gagner developed so many bad habits as a young player with the puck on his stick, the puck watching, the weak defensive play, the weaving around, like, because there is a good hockey player there. He really has a great mind with, like, has great vision with the puck. That's what he's always had. Really great offensive instincts and skills. There's so many other aspects of his game that he just needed to have a great fundamental coach, and he just seemed to miss that at some, or he wasn't listening. But yeah, I hear what you're saying there.
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to go with, and this is more possibly on the Oilers than it is on Sam Gagner, but the bad thing was them pushing him directly into the NHL, age barely turned 18. He has an August birthday. So he was 17 when they drafted him. He turned 18 that summer. They had that junior summit series between the Russians and Canada.
Yeah, he did very well.
And Sam did well.
He got opportunistic scoring, is what I would say.
And he did, yes. And he came to the team, and I mean, he had what was for a long time his career high 49 points. So you can't even say that he sucked as a rookie, but like a few of these guys, he came in and then he fell back a bit. And there just wasn't the underpinnings, the extra time in junior, any time in the AHL. And his flaws were, I think, exposed at the NHL level. And,
Bruce, that's your bad thing. That's like you're digging pretty far back in the past.
The flaw to me is in the development model. Well, the player, my bad thing is he's not worth $3.15 million.
Okay.
But is that on him, or is that on Ryan Spooner and them having to salvage what they could out of a bad contract?
And salvage they did. Let's give credit where it's due. Salvage they did, because Gagner is a much better two-way hockey player than Ryan Spooner, I believe. He's maybe in a couple of years, maybe Ryan Spooner's got to spend a year in the minors or suffer a bit, because Gagner is a better player right now than Spooner. And of course, Tyratty's a better player than either of them, in my opinion. But that's a different issue. All right, what is your number?
Oh, are we doing numbers? My numbers are possession numbers for Gagner. Very good. Very strong against all competition except elite competition. He got clobbered, but playing against depth players on the other teams, middle or low end lines, the Oilers carried the play and did all right. So as long as he's put in the right environment, like, don't be thinking about putting him up to the first line based on that, at least, unless he proves that he's able to handle it different than he did last year. At least there's some positive. He's one of the few Oilers who was over 50% in these various categories, which is, of course, a break even though.
So I'm going to go with his numbers, his scoring chance numbers. So he was both, in terms of, for just someone who played wing exclusively, so not McDavid, Draisaitl, and RNH. The only winger who was consistently getting more scoring chance, grade A scoring chance shots on net than Gagner was Alex Chiasson. He was significantly ahead of Gagner in that regard. But Gagner is right behind Chiasson. Again, kind of slow winger, so that's a problem. Yeah. And in terms of like grade A scoring chance plus minus, Gagner's was ahead of Chiasson, and he was just the only winger who was a little bit ahead of him was Tyratty. So Sam Gagner, statistically, between the possession numbers you're pointing out or scoring chance numbers, there's a real indication that he's an NHL hockey player.
Right.
When he puts his mind to it, and he certainly had his mind put to it in how many games did he play for the Oilers?
25.
25 games, 10 points. Is that it?
Yeah, 5 and 5.
Oh. So he really he had kind of double the scoring numbers of Tyratty, Bruce, interestingly.
Yeah.
I see Tyratty as at least as good a player as Gagner, though. I just think Tyratty had really terrible puck luck last year. So I still haven't written that post. I'm going to have to write that post. Yeah.
I tend to agree on the puck luck for Ratty.
Yeah.
So what do you do with this guy? Do we keep, hold, or fold?
Well, with Gagner, of course, there's no choice, right? So he's keep. But,
there is a choice.
Well, I guess you could try to trade him, right?
Well, or you could buy him out, which is an option.
Oh, geez. I don't
Yeah.
like the buy it.
I don't like the option.
You don't buy out
It is
a player who can possibly help you on your third line, and someone gets injured, might have to step up and play even higher in the batting order. So I'll say he's a definite keep, and it'll be an interesting year for him. He might even be able to earn another contract, but the Oilers do need to get faster on the wing. That's definitely against him, but his fate is bound with that of Alex Chason's, Bruce. If the Oilers don't bring back Chason, suddenly Gagner is going to be even more needed. And could he score as many goals? Like, he's not the net front guy on the power play, but
right.
the Oilers need the
Right hand
Oilers
stick.
need an off wing shooter. Did you notice something about the Boston power play, the vaunted Boston power play, which was truly excellent? They had Marchand on his off wing, and they had Pasternak and Krejci on the other side on their off wings. That's how you run a power play.
Washington's been doing it for years.
I'm so sick of seeing stupid Oiler power plays where they don't take advantage of that. I wish I don't know. Like, I can't do this data scraping. Like, someone should do a data scraping project where they look at where goals are scored on the power play and whether it's off wing or not. And I bet you will find, I am certain that you will find the most dangerous shot by far is the off wing one-timer on a cross seam pass. And it's not close. It is the most dangerous shot by far. And if you're not trying to set up that play, you're a stupid NHL power play coach. And we've had too much of it in Edmonton in recent years. And so Sam Gagner has the potential to be that player for the Oilers. Can he shoot as well as Mark Letestu? Yes. And could he have 10 to 15 power play goals if he was used there? Like, they had RNH there all year. Like, I like RNH, but and he's not going to score a lot of one-timer goals. I think he scored maybe 2 or 3 on passes across because he's just not in position to shoot easily.
Or you're always shooting from a low angle. Yeah. I'm not sure Sam's got quite the quick release that Letestu had. That's how he got all his goals, was he just shoot right away and he'd find a hole sometimes. But he does, he's got a more skilled stick, and that's without a doubt. I looked up the buyout, by the way, and if they bought him out, they would save $2.1 million in cap hit this year.
So that is significant. That's a lot of money.
But then they'd have an extra $1 million on their cap next year, so that's a price you have to pay.
So you save $1 million. You have $1 million on your cap this year and next year.
Yeah.
You need a $2 million player. Can you sign a $2 million player like Tobias Reeder?
Alex Chason?
Yeah,
right.
That's an interesting thought.
Maybe that's your choice. Buy out Gagner, use the money to sign Reed or Chason.
That's a good point, Bruce. That's a thought. I hadn't thought of that. So what
I'm
do you think?
I'm in the hold camp. Which is, in this case, I'm saying test your options. You have a couple of different things. And when Ken Holland said the other day, he's considering various scenarios of buying players out and what that would mean to the cap and what it would mean to the roster and how they'd have to fill it. I would imagine that Gagner was one of the cases that he's considering. And I would say most of them they'll consider and say, no, we can't really do that. So I expect him to stay here, and I'm happy enough if he does. He's a likable enough player.
That's interesting.
It's only 1 year, right? So
yeah, it's just 1 year, and it's just no bonus, right? So it's not one of those terrible contracts that kill you when you buy them out. Right. So yeah, you're probably right about the hold. So there's the second buyout period right after July 1st, because they'll know early in July if they can get Chase on or not.
Right.
And I think there's a second buyout period in that first week of July if you're also entering into arbitration with a player or two, and you can always fake that. And
that could go into, well, I was thinking Puljujärvi. No, with Kara. He's arbitration.
Yeah, so you could say, listen, we need to sign you, but we need to drag it out a bit, and we're going to pretend we're going to go to arbitration, but we have a deal done or whatever. Or they could actually go to arbitration with Kara and leave that window open to see if they bring back Chase on or not, and then you make your decision. And that's an interesting one. I think if that is the decision, if they can't bring in a better scoring winger or two than Chase on, right? I'll go back to Ty Ratty. I like Ty Ratty, and everyone's excited about the new Oilers player Nygaard. If Ty Ratty played in the Swedish league, how many goals do you think he'd score?
Based on last year, about 6. No finish.
I bet you he'd lead.
Oh, yeah,
Top
he
five,
has
maybe
such.
lead the league, Bruce.
How many posts did he hit? And how many great saves? But how many times did you think he's a sure goal and somehow instead of picking the corner, he'd shoot it into the middle of the net and the goalie had somehow got a piece of it? Like part of it was just.
How many goals did he get? 4?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, I think it was.
He
4
had
goals and 7 assists in 50 games. So
according when you and I were watching the games, Bruce, we
Mhm.
counted him with 37 grade A scoring chance shots.
Mm-hmm.
So we know on average about 25% of those shots go in. So, he should have had about double the goals, or
Should have had about 8 to 10 goals.
8 to 10 goals, right? In 50 games. If he had, let's say he had potted 10 goals in 50 games, I think people would be a lot more amenable to him coming back. I don't think he's coming back.
No, I don't either. That's why I thought he was an unrestricted free agent.
Let's not get into that. All right. Thanks for talking, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.